good, people? What's up? It's me, L Teddy 27, and I am back. I'm back. I am back. I am back. We are doing another retro review. This is our retro review for The Wire, Season 1, Episode 13. This is titled Sentencing. It's the season finale. We finally made it. I know I'm way behind, but that's okay. Let's get right down to it. So we start off with Kima in the hospital. Kima is doing better. She's doing so much better. She's able to talk. She's lucid. She's, coherent and so forth. Bunk and one of his fellow detectives are there. They trying to get her to identify her shooter. She identifies Lil Man because she says she saw him. Bunk tries to get her to identify Weebay as being the other shooter. And she was like, now listen, I ain't see Weebay. I didn't get a good, eyeball on him because it was dark. I can't do it. He tries to, kind of pressure her into doing it because it'll help the case. She was like, some things just got to be hard. Some things ain't going to be able to be worked out that easy. I ain't gonna lie. So he don't get nowhere with that. She won't budge on that. Then we see Herc and Carver. They rounding up. They with some other police officers, and they're rounding up all of the little dope boys from Roundaway. All of them. They getting everybody. They getting them all. Anyway, Herc is over there telling Carver that he has to call him sir now because he's the next step to be a sergeant, and he better get used to calling him that when he's around other police officers. Just a mess. A mess. Back down to the office. Freeman, Daniels, McNulty, and Perez, they're just discussing where they are with the case and everything that's been going on lately with the case. And then McNulty gets a phone call. The phone call is from Rhonda. And Rhonda tells him that somebody called her and told her that there's a public defender up in New Jersey that says that he represents D'Angelo Boxdale and that D'Angelo Boxdale is ready to talk. And does not have Levy, who's the lawyer for Avon, does not have Levy representing him. It's a public defender. And so they get ready. So he's all excited about that. We then see Avon bonds out of jail. We knew he was going to bond out of jail. He got the money. He bonded out of jail. After he bonded out, he goes with Stringer. And Stringer, Avon, and Levy, the lawyer, they talk about, okay, what do we do now? And they start talking about all of the things. Levy gives them some great legal advice. They tell them all the things that they need to do. They're in the parking lot, by the way, because they've already deduced that talking at the club, at the strip club in that office up there is not going to work out. So they got to find a new place to talk. In the interim, they're in this parking garage talking. And I noticed that on a lot of shows, you see people talking in parking garages. I never think that parking garages are the safest places to do this. Y'all forgive the noise in the background. People out there are just real loud. Anyway, I never felt like parking garages were the safest place in the world because it's just a big open space. You can have people behind other cars listening. You can have, I just never felt like those were the safest places. Then they talk about, Levy tell them, listen, he's pretty sure that they got a wire on them. He told them that Weebay contacted him and says that he wants to come back. He also said that they got about almost 20 of their guys in jail. And he says, listen, you need to try to get them out of jail. Well, Stringer says we need to try to get them out of jail before they turn on us and become enemies and start, talking. Levy then tells Avon, listen, you're going to have to give up something. They got a lot on you. So you're going to have to start giving up your men one by one. And the more men you give them, the less time they're going to give you with the case that they have on you. So that was the plan that they had. Bunk and McNulty are down at homicide talking, and they're getting ready to go get everything they need to go up to New Jersey to talk to D. Rhonda comes in that baby, and Rhonda because McNulty had already told Rhonda to bring a tape recorder for when they go up to New Jersey. Rhonda came in threw that tape recorder down and looked at McNulty like bitch, I can't stand you, but then smiled at Bunk a mess. Anyway, McNulty and Bunk, before Rhonda got there, they talked about Kima and the fact that she is doing better, and the fact that McNulty still hasn't gone to see Kima. He said, when I get back from New Jersey, I'll go see her. He just said, I just can't. He still can't bring himself to go see Kima after everything he feels that he's responsible for. Then we see Avon and Stringer. They go check out this new spot for the office. So Avon owns a funeral home as well. And so there's a little upstairs office at the funeral home that they're thinking about perhaps using as their next office. They said they could use it. It's a corner office. There's nothing next to it, so nobody can get access to the office. It's not next to another residence or another building where somebody can drill in the side or something like that. And they just said, we just need to bring the safe in here and we can make that our new office. Avon's sister comes and she's like, she tells them, listen, I got D. I'm going to go see D. I'm going to make sure D is good. D is my boy. I got him. But she tells Avon, and Stringer agrees, you need to lay low. You're going to have to get up off of this. You're going to have to, come from out of being the head for a little while you down and while you're in prison. If you get convicted or whatever, you get sentenced to some time. She's going to run the money. Stringer will run the product. But even before he goes to court and everything, he's going to have to get out of the game for a little bit. Not get out of it, but not be the one running everything. She'll run the money, like I said, and Stringer will run the product. Anyway, McNulty, Bunk, and Rhonda, they go up to New Jersey to talk to D. D starts singing like a bird, just telling everything. All D wants in return is D wants to be able to start anew. He wants a fresh new life. D doesn't want to still be in the drug game. He said, my granddad was a big-time drug dealer. My uncles, my whole family, that's our family business. I don't want no more parts of that. If y'all can give me a brand new life and help me start off fresh and new, I'm here for it. I'll tell y'all whatever y'all want. I'll testify against anybody. So they all excited about that. He starts to tell them all the information that he knows. I mean, a whole lot of information they didn't have already. Daniels and his wife is at home. He's talking to the wife about the fact that, listen, we got enough to probably take this to the feds, because that was something McNulty had talked about earlier before he got that call from Rhonda. They talked about perhaps if the because Burrell is not working with them. Burrell is shutting this shit down. So since Burrell is shutting everything down, McNulty had earlier, like I said before, he talked to Rhonda, said maybe we could take to the feds. And Daniels was like, well, why you? How are we gonna get this past Burrell? And he was like, who says Burrell? I'm have to know. So back down to where we are. Daniels is telling his wife that they might have enough information to take this to the feds. He also tells his wife that, listen, we're doing real good on the case, but Burrell knows about the money. All of that money he's apparently got. He said Burrell knows all about it. He says, but I don't feel like Burrell's going to do anything about it because he's really not after me. Because if he was, I would have already been, he would have already took me down. So then, McNulty, ain't they loud? Child. So then, Buck and Freeman, they go to see one of Buck's friends. And his friend works, I think, for the phone company or whatever. What they're trying to do is they're trying to get a trace on they're trying to get any number they can get from Philly that traces back to Levy, because they know whoever is calling Levy from Philly has to be Weebay or has to be connected to Weebay. So they know if we can get this number traced, we can get to Weebay. And I know some people now are probably thinking, but is it really that easy? You got to think this was back before cell phones are what they are today. People had cell phones back then, but most people, you still had cell phones for your particular geographic area and region. Not like now. You might live in the area. For example, I'm from Miami. You might call somebody from Miami that live in Miami. They might have an area code in another part of the country. Hell, nowadays people got Google Voice numbers that's all over the country. So that's a whole different ballgame. Anyway, go back to what I was saying. They're trying to get to Weebay. That's what they're trying to do, get to Weebay. So McNulty goes and he talks to his FBI friend. And he was like, you set up a meeting so that we can discuss with y'all the case. I'll vouch for Daniels. Daniels is good. Daniels is on it, so forth and so on. So he says, all right, I set it up. I set up a meeting. We then see this dude come into the copy center, which that Stringer owns. And dude basically is there bringing product. Dude brings product to Stringer. And Stringer, and after the dude leaves, Stringer takes the product. He gets his boy there, the dope boy that works at the copy center with him, and said, listen, this is how we going, he tells them the formula for how they're going to make the drugs. But then he said, you need to have them put word out that we back up and running. Ain't shit changed. We ain't shut down. So after that, we see the meeting with the feds, okay? McNulty, we got Freeman, we got Daniels, and Rhonda. So they basically tell them, listen, we have protocols in place now. And with the protocols and stuff that we have in place, if it's not dealing with counterterrorism or some type of political corruption, it's nothing we can do for you. So Daniels, just to, give them a carrot to reach for, says, Freeman, tell him what you got on the politics. And you know, Freeman had been looking into Senator Davis and all of the politics and corruption going on with that. So they're like, hopefully that helps them with the case. Pick up the case. Next, we see Bodie Poot and some other dudes. They walking up. They in the low rises. They grab some bats and they go and start beating up some dope boys that tried to take over their territory as if they had been shut down. Now, I was kind of looking at this like, now wait a minute. Wait a goddamn minute. How are these drug dealers, but they ain't got no guns on them? Like, where they do that at? Drug dealers, I know, carry weight on them, okay? Guns. And you ain't coming up to them with no bats, talking about you just gonna beat them up with a bat. And ain't nobody in the crew got a gun, not one single person. I don't buy it. Live behind Bodie. Now, I ain't gonna lie. And Poot, they had this big, tall, light-skinned cat with some shades on behind them that was with them. But Bodie and Poot is real little. And they was leading the charge. A mess. But they beat the boys up. And you see Herc and Carver watching from afar. And Carver said, that's why we never gonna win. Because when they mess up, they get beat down. When we mess up, we get pensions. Down to the hospital, McNulty goes to go see Kima. And, you know, he's feeling some kind of way. And they start talking about the case and everything going on. He tells her that the wiretaps are down. The wires, you know, basically ain't nothing going on in the wire because they changed everything once they raided them and so forth. So they talking shop. Kima's girlfriend walks out and is angry. And she was like, yeah, she wants me to quit. She wants me to get out of the police game. And so then we see McNulty crying and apologizing and feeling all bad. Because she told him, where the fuck you been? You ain't came to see me yet. Everybody done been here, but you. And so he lets her know, listen, I just couldn't. I feel bad. If I had to do it over, you know, I'm sorry. I apologize. She tells him to do her a favor and go down to see Bubs. So apparently, Freeman, Kima had told McNulty to go give Bubs some money. Because Bubbles had been, you know, getting clean. And she was proud of him. And she said, I promised him that I would give him this money. So McNulty gives Bubs the money. Come to find out, Bubs ain't clean at all. Bubs done relapsed and is back on that shit. He back on that shit, y'all. And so when they leave from each other, Bubbles tells McNulty, listen, he calls him McNutty. He tells McNulty, listen, don't tell Kima I'm back on drugs. Because he was like, I don't want to disappoint her, especially with everything she got going on now in the hospital. Herc finds out, down to the office, Herc done found out that Carver done skipped him in line to be a sergeant. And Herc is trying to figure out how the fuck you skipped me and all these other people. Like, it must be because of all of the police brutality cases I have on me. And so we'll put a bookmark in that for a second. Prez then goes to Freeman and says that there's a guy on the phone from the phone company and says that they done traced the number in Philadelphia that's going that they think is for Weebay. Back down at the FBI building, we got the real formal meeting with all of the FBI bigwigs and all of the people that might be able to take the case on. Once again, you got Rhonda, you got Freeman, you got Daniels, you got McNulty. They down there discussing the case. They said, listen, we'll take the case, but it's got to be centered around political corruption because that's the only way we'll get it through our protocols. And they were like, yeah, we can use, because they were like, yeah, we can use, well, they first asked them, they first asked them, did D'Angelo get them any information that will give them stuff they need for the political corruption part? And they were like, well, no, he gave us the drugs. And they were like, if you follow the drugs, you can follow the money, da, 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 da. And they were like, that's all well, fine and dandy, but we need to get down to the bottom of the political corruption because that's what we're here for. And they were like, so you mean to tell me Avon and Stringer Bell and D'Angelo, they may not do that much time? They were like, they might not, because we're not here for that. We are here for political corruption. And so Daniels was like, well, it looks like we're going to be going in two different ways because that's not what the case is about. And so McNulty just starts going off on the big boss at the FBI, saying that he's just an empty suit and that, y'all going to let West Baltimore, go down to the ground and all of that. He just goes off. He does McNulty. But McNulty, the difference is you ain't dealing with Baltimore Police Department, boo. You dealing with the FBI and the feds. And then on his way out, he even goes off on his friend, the guy who's from the FBI that's supposedly his friend that's been helping him out. That ain't gonna go over well. Put a bookmark in that too. Anyway, but you know, McNulty, that's his white privilege speaking up. You know what I'm saying? You know, white people, especially white men, they throw around privilege simply because they know they can get away with it. It ain't fair. It ain't fair at all. But he definitely feels he's going to get away with this. That's a whole nother thing. Let me also say, while I'm on that topic, it was something I wanted to say back when we discussed the fact that what's his name, Herc, wanted Carver to call him sir. But we'll discuss that in a minute. I'm gonna hold that for a second. Anyway, let me get back into my notes. So, Dee's mom then goes to go see him at the jail. She tells him all of this stuff she needs to tell him. Listen, he tells her, listen, they offer me a new life. I can start over new, get out the drug game, and get away from all of this. She was like, and do what? Because without your family, you ain't got nothing. You got to hold that son out here. And if you testify against Avon, you testify against the whole family, you're going to have all us hemmed up, including you, me, your uncle, your cousins, Ray Ray, Pookie, Nuck Nuck, Bunk Bunk, and everybody, and even your son. So you need to rethink this thing. Now, the mama told Avon point blank up front, don't worry about it. When I go to talk to him, I got this. Apparently, she did. Lord. Daniels then confronts Carver. He brings Carver in the office. And I remember watching this the first time when I first watched it and saying, why is he confronting Carver like this? Apparently, and I never saw this coming, Carver had been going to Burrell and telling Burrell what was going on with the detail and all of the intimate detail. We thought that maybe it was the guy who was who Major Rawls had told the tale. No, it was Carver. Carver had been going to Burrell and feeding Burrell all the information going on with Daniels' case, so that, and by doing that, Burrell would help him out, and that's how Carver got skipped in line to become a sergeant before Herc, where Herc was actually higher on the list. And we talked about this in previous reviews. Burrell is here for helping out other up-and-coming black men in positions of leadership. It all makes sense. Daniels gives Carver some good advice. He said, listen, you got to figure out what kind of leader you're going to be. Because when you get promoted to sergeant and you got people, subordinates under you, they're going to look to you to take their cue from you for how they should be about the business of policing. And if you do it the wrong way, they're going to do it the wrong way. If you do it the right way, they will do it the right way. So he gives him some good advice, but he lets him know in no short term, oh, I know it was you, bitch. Bitch, I know it was you. Then after that, I didn't see that coming at all. Daniels gives Prez his gun back and tells Prez he's not confined to the office anymore because the grand jury apparently done came back. And I guess they done cleared him with that whole case with the little boy and the eyeball and stuff like that. Yeah. Then we get, next thing you know, we see they done got Weebay. They done went to Philly, and based on that number and everything, they done got Weebay. They, put him in cuffs, they take him down, and they got Weebay in custody. We go back down to the Rhonda was in a meeting. Rhonda talking to some people. She get a phone call. Rhonda takes the phone call. Apparently, the phone call is from Levy, and now Levy is representing D again. The mom did her job. Mama went in there. She talked to D, got D to not go along with what he said he was going to go along with earlier, and then got Levy back as the lawyer. So now everything is back where it should be. Major Rawls then meets with McNulty. I told y'all, white men especially think they have a privilege. That this time it didn't work for McNulty, because you notice in that meeting, Daniels and Freeman didn't go off on the FBI like that because they knew better. McNulty and his white privilege felt like, I'm gonna go off on these motherfuckers, and I dare bitch to say something. So anyway, Daniels McNulty meets with Rawls. Rawls said, so you around here going to the FBI, calling the head of the FBI in this division a empty suit, and going off. He said, you got a whole pair of brass balls. He said, but I like you, McNulty. You're a great detective. And I want to see you, and I don't want to see nothing bad happen to you. You know, you've been great. You've been helping us clear cases, this, that, and the third. And I want what's best for you. I really want to help you land on your feet because you know they're taking you from homicide. He said, listen, just let me know where don't you want to be so I can help you out. McNulty tells him. And remember, McNulty had already told his sergeant, Lansford, earlier in the season, the worst place he wanted to be was down there to the docks. And that's what he told Ross. He don't want to go to the docks. Levy, Rhonda, and Daniels and some others work out a deal. They're meeting with, they're all meeting. I think it was another lady from the state attorney's office. But they're all having a meeting to work out, okay, what we're going to do about this. Because we're getting ready to go to court. Can we settle up on a deal? Can we get pleas and so forth? So after all of the talking, Avon's going to get a few years. All of the other guys that they arrested, if they only got one, if they don't have any priors, they get 5. If they got one prior, they get 10. If they got 2 or more, they get 15. That's all. And so that's how it's going to go because they know that they don't have a case. Levy knows they don't have a case. Levy knows they have a little bit of a case, but that they could take the trial. But Levy got them by the balls. And he knows this is what y'all going to get. Take it or leave it. So next we see Daniels going back to his office. Daniels sees one of his friends that done got promoted to that open major position. Because remember earlier in the season, we learned that somebody was retiring. And so there was going to be an open position for a major. That went to his friend. And I believe that his friend is the same guy who gave him Sitnor in the case. If you remember, they kept saying, so-and-so owes me a favor. And that's how he got Sitnor to stay. And I think that's the same guy who ended up getting the promotion to major. And he tells Daniel, he said, listen, let me know if you want to get out of narcotics. Because I can, use a shift lieutenant in my division now, and so forth. Daniels ain't happy about that. Herc, you then see Herc down there schooling the new detectives on how they should do real police work. Because now we're not down in the boiler room, down in the basement no more. We're back up in regular narcotics. McNulty, everybody going back to their regular, posts in their regular division. So Lieutenant Daniels is back up in narcotics. So Herc is back up there, and there's some new detectives. He's telling them all about how you do real police work and you got to use your head and stuff like, basically the stuff that he learned while he was down there on the Barksdale case. We then see Bodie, who's now apparently running one of the towers. Bodie is now running one of the towers. And he, giving out orders, this, that, and the third. So Bodie done moved up in the world. Let me knock this out. Poot is running the low rises now. And he's schooling all of the young boys like he was schooled by D and so forth like that. And you see Poot filling in that role that D was down to the low rises. I mean, I hate to say that I like to see people being promoted and it's the drug game. Because, it is the drug game, and I shouldn't want people to be promoted in the drug game, but I like seeing Poot get promoted and Bodie get promoted. Freeman ended up landing down to homicide with Major Rawls, and Major Rawls lets him know, hey, boo, we do things by the way I say it. You ain't nilly-willy going off by yourself and just doing your own thing. We go by my rules. You do that, we good. If you don't, it's going to be some complications and some problems. D ends up getting 20 years down there to the court. Avon got his 7. D got 20. So everything they worked out in that deal ended up going forward. McNulty, at the end of the court case, he basically is regretting all of this. Because he's like, well, what the fuck have I done? Yeah, you're right. Because they didn't really get everything they wanted out of it. I don't even know if they got half of what they wanted out of it. Because the drug's still going on. Avon's cartel is still running the game. And Kima's in the hospital. It's just and what came out of it? We see Bubbles still running with the white boy, still strung out on drugs. So that didn't work out. Kima is down to the hospital. She looking down out the window, looking at police cars rolling by, missing, being on the job. McNulty, we find out, gets sent down to the docks, exactly where he didn't want to go. Freeman and Bunk sent him off. Carver ends up getting promoted by Burrell to sergeant. Hello, somebody. That is a lesson in leadership. And as much as Daniels tried to come down on Carver, we know Daniels has a checkered past. And I said this earlier, you don't, in our previous review, you don't get high up in leadership without getting your hands dirty at some point. I don't care who it is. If they are climbing the ladder to success, you can't get to the highest of heights in leadership without getting your hands dirty at some point. You're going to do something, or maybe a few things, or many things that are the best things to do that make you look wrong and shady and fucked up. You're going to have to get your hands dirty to climb the ladder. Stringer, we see Stringer is running everything. And Stringer gives this look like, and Stringer says something to McNulty on the way out of the courtroom when all of the sentencing happened. And Stringer says, good work, detective, good work. And I think that's because, remember, I told y'all Stringer wanted to run everything from the beginning. And now that Avon is out of the game, Avon's nephew is out of the game, pretty much that means their family doesn't have a hold on anything. The only one holding on is the sister, Dee's mom, Avon's sister. She ain't going to be able to come back against Stringer. So basically, this is now Stringer's cartel, no longer the Barksdale cartel. Anyway, the last thing we see is the whistling, the farmer in the dale, the farmer in the dale. Hi ho the Dario, the farmer in the dale, which means Omar is back. And Omar holds up some looks like either white or Italian or Hispanic drug dealer. And you know, he got him for his goods, and he knew exactly who Omar was and had to give Omar the money. Omar the drugs, and it went on from there. So we got, at the end of it, everything kind of put in a bow. We got some resolutions to things, but we also were left with some cliffhangers for season 2. And we'll begin season 2 shortly. I don't know when. We certainly will begin season 2 shortly. That's all I got for y'all. That was the season finale of season 1 of The Wire. I hope you all have enjoyed this ride. We will start season 2. That's all I got for y'all. Thank y'all for coming. Y'all drive safe.